Hi, very good evening to you. My name is Darren Chow and I'm the English tutor from EnglishTuition.org. Now in today's video, let's discuss about the type of students that I usually work with. Now, I think this makes an interesting discussion because many parents think that when they sign up for their, for tuition for their kids, they're actually doing me, the tutor, a favor because they're paying me that few $100 every month to teach their students. And I beg to differ because I do not see it that way. Of course, I appreciate their business and always thank them for their kind support. But truth be told, it is not always the case that just having their child as my student is going to be beneficial to me and my business. Well, let me explain a little bit more about how the tuition business works. Now, because this is private tuition, the practice grows when the number of students that we have grows, right? So we want to be able to recruit more students. In other words, we are also responsible for our own marketing, which in turn help to grow our practice and attract more students. Now, when I take in students and they belong to the lower end of the express or from NA, from NT, okay, and even from primary school foundation English, these students belong to the weaker students, and they come from neighborhood schools, and they do not come from SAP schools, or they do not come from schools with branded names. And in marketing terms, this is actually bad for my business because I cannot use the results, okay, as my track record to further attract more students. Now, as we all know, like-minded individuals will attract like-minded individuals, right? So, if I have a crop of good students and they come from good schools and they are smart and they have a higher tendency or likelihood to do well in their academic exams, then I will have a stronger track record, which in turn help to attract more students or more smart students into my practice, okay, and then I can grow the business from there, right? So from the student's perspective, right, smart students are more likely to want to join in if they see that other smart students are already there, right? And this can work the other way around. So if I have a crop of weak students, right, smart students are not going to want to join because they may not find the tuition group to be suitable for them. So I will end up with a weak group of students, and if I happen to recruit other students, they are more likely to be weak students as well, because then it's a good fit for the entire group, which, as I've explained earlier, is bad for my marketing. In other words, it's bad for my business, right? To take on these weaker students, okay, into my tutelage. And I'm sure now, you may have this question in your head. So why do I, accept these assignments in the first place? And I think if you have viewed some of my previous videos, you already know the answer to that question. Okay, I will try to put a link in the video somewhere. Okay, if you've not seen the video on the story of how I got into teaching, then please go and watch that. For the benefit of those who have not seen that video, just to put it in a nutshell, I take on these students simply out of my own desire to want to help these students succeed, because they're struggling, right? And I take them on without the consideration for the welfare of my business. If I purely think from the business perspective, it makes a lot more sense to target people who come from, or students who come from branded schools, or students who are smarter and have a higher likelihood to score well, to build up my own track record, and as a result, I can have better marketing and I will be able to attract like-minded students. That's just the way it goes. So, are parents really doing me a favor by sending their kids to me? I would think not, right? Because they are actually helping me to weaken my business, right? And that's the truth. And I am still offering to take in these students, okay, knowing full well that they may not be, very beneficial to my business in the long term, okay. And this brings me to another point. When parents think that they are doing me a favor, they sound arrogant and appear unappreciative of the work that I do. I have parents coming to me and tell me, no, you should teach this way, you should teach that way, you should collect, fees at the end of the month, and they start to set up all kinds of rules on my behalf, right? Just because they are paying me a few $100s per month. And they think that because they are doing that, they are doing me a special favor, and that I should follow their rules, and they do not need to respect mine. Okay, so I've always had this problem with unappreciative kids, because I've always wondered, right, how do kids learn to be so unappreciative, right? When I work with students who are not appreciative of what I do for them, the arrangement goes south very quickly. They do not appreciate me turning up punctually for the lessons. They do not appreciate me preparing for the lessons. They do not appreciate all the custom materials that they get. They do not appreciate anything that I do for them, right? And if that's the case, usually within a very short span of time, the relationship between teacher and student was sour, right? Because they take things for granted and they do not value, okay, what the people around them are doing for them. And they don't just have this attitude towards their teacher, they have this attitude, in general towards everyone around them. Okay, I have students coming to tell me, that when I tell them, right, you should be appreciative of not just me, right, your parents, okay, who are working so hard to provide shelter, food and shelter for you, to earn money, to provide you with tuition, right? Then they will come back and tell me, right? And they will reply. They will say, no, I think my parents are lazy. I see them waking up late. And they will badmouth about their parents, right? So that is very unappreciative, okay, of what their parents are doing for them. So this unappreciative attitude, I think a large part of it, it could be due to many factors, okay? But I think a large part of it is due to modeling their parents. Now, because when parents come to me, they behave in this manner, right? I am paying you these few $100, therefore, I'm the boss, okay? You should listen to me, okay? Even though the truth is that my business is actually getting from bad to worse, okay, when I take on such students, right? And that just makes a lot of sense to me, okay, that I shouldn't take on such assignments, right? But I've gone against my own common sense, and I've decided, that I wanted to tutor these students, right? But they show that type of attitude towards me, and the students can see that, right? And that's the way my parents behave towards my tutor. So why can't I behave in a similar manner towards my tutor, right? My parents, they are the boss, right? So they are unappreciative. So why should I be appreciative, right? I will model after them, right? I see my parents as the role model, so I model after them. And in part, that's where their unappreciative behavior comes from. So going forward, I'm not sure whether I should continue taking on or helping struggling students, knowing full well that it's not really beneficial for me and my business in the mid to long term. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you.